Rambam. We're learning the book of Avodah, of divine service. And in the divine service, we're now learning the laws of offerings on the altar. We're in chapter 4. We began yesterday with it. All of the sacrifices may be offered only during the day, as can be inferred from the verse, on the day that he commanded the children of Israel to offer their sacrifices. Implied is during the day and not at night. Therefore, sacrifices are slaughtered only during the day. Their blood is sprinkled on the altar on the day of the slaughter, as can be inferred by the verse. It says, on the day that he offers his sacrifice. Implied is that on the day that the sacrifice is slaughtered, it should be offered. In other words, you slaughter it, you have to offer it that day. When the sun sets, right? When the sun sets, then, one second. So when the sun sets, then that's it, finito, right?
Because it means it's another day, it's a new day.
Right.
Is that the reason?
Yeah, exactly. The sacrifice is slaughtered, so it should be offered when the sun sets on that day. The blood is disqualified, right? Because if you sprinkle the blood on the altar, then so it's a new day, and the Torah tells us that we got to do it on that day. Halacha number 2: as long as the elements that cause a sacrifice to be permitted were offered during the day, the other elements of the sacrifice may be offered on the altar throughout the night. So what does it imply? What does that mean? When the blood of the sacrifice was sprinkled during the day, the emurim may be offered on the fire of the altar at night until dawn. Emurim is the parts that go on the altar to be burnt on the altar, right? So those things, they could go until dawn. Some of the limbs of the burnt offerings may be offered on the fire of the altar until dawn. So the emurim are the fats in the inner organs of the animal that are offered on the altar. Okay. Hold on. Right. In order to distance a person from an inadvertent transgression, our sages declared that the emurim and the limbs of the burnt offering should only be offered on the fire of the altar until midnight. It's actually the first teachings of the Mishnah, of the oral Torah, is this idea. It's the same idea of saying the Shema. You could say the Shema until dawn, the nighttime Shema, but sages say you should only say it until midnight, so that way you don't forget it, right? But biblically, it's until dawn. Okay. Number 3, even though the emurim and the limbs of the sacrifice may be offered on the fire of the altar until night, they may not be willingly delayed. So you could put it on at nighttime, right? But you shouldn't delay it. Instead, an attempt should be made to offer everything during the day, for it is desirable that the mitzvah be performed at its designated time. The importance of this can be seen from the fact that although the offering of the emurim and the limbs of the sacrifice on the fire of the altar is permitted at night, it supersedes the Shabbos prohibitions on that day. We do not delay it until Saturday night. So how important is, so we know that, you're not allowed to cook on Shabbos, right? You're not allowed to put something on a fire on Shabbos. But guess what you could put on a fire on Shabbos? A sacrifice. Sacrifice you could. So you might think, oh, I've got a sacrifice on Shabbos. There's communal sacrifice, not personal sacrifices, right? That supersede Shabbos. So you might say, well, let me wait until after Shabbos and then I'll put it on, right? Why should I put it on during the day if I can wait till after Shabbos? Anyways, I can put the limbs on the altar after Shabbos, right? After nightfall, in other words, right? I could do that. No, we don't delay it. We don't delay it until Saturday night. We put it on Shabbos, right? And that just emphasizes the importance of that even though you could do it after nightfall, it's best to do it in its appropriate time when you slaughtered it during the day and when blood was put on the side of the altar, that you should also burn whatever needs to be on the altar on the daytime rather than waiting and delaying it till afterwards, even though you could, right? Is that clear? Okay. Any element of sacrifice that may be offered only during the day, the handful of flour from the meal offering, the frankincense, right? So these are things that can only be done by day. The handful of flour for the meal offering, the frankincense for the meal offering, the incense offering, which is on the golden altar in the holies, right? The meal offerings that are burnt on the altar may be offered on the altar at sunset. They then can, so until sunset, you can offer it. These particular things, right? So you can put them at sunset, and then they continue to be consumed on the altar's fire the entire night, like limbs of the burnt offerings. Right. So when we speak about certain things that they should have to be done only by day, right, on the altar, it doesn't mean that it can't continue until until the next day. Just a reminder that Jewish people, we start our day at night, right? Right. That's how God created the world, right? Vahi erev v'hi boker. There was night and then there was day. Shabbos begins at nighttime. It doesn't begin at daytime, right? If a child is born today, when the child mother gives birth today, then the birthday of the child is the 13th of. If the child would be born tonight, let's say 9 o'clock until midnight, so then the child is born on the 14th of. If the child is born 1 o'clock in the morning, then it'll be the 14th. Both, either way, right? The distinction is from nightfall until the next day. It's a new Jewish day. It's the same Gregorian calendar day, right? Just want to emphasize that idea. Okay. Number 4, any element of, oh, sorry, we did that. Number 5, the libations that are offered with sacrifices are, right, which is the meal offering or the wine that comes together with it, right, with the offering. With the sacrifices are only offered during the day, because the verse says, and for their libations, and for their peace offerings. And associated is established between the peace offering and the libation. Because it brings libation and peace offering together. Just as peace offerings are offered only during the day, so too the libations be offered during the day. Nevertheless, libations that are offered independently may be sanctified at night and offered at night. So when it's coming with an offering, so it must be only done by day. But there is a libation that's not associated with any particular sacrifice, right? So there's no limits rather, on when they can be offered, so they can offer day or night. Therefore, if it happens that a person obtains libations that are brought independently, he should sanctify them at night and offer them at night. Dawn disqualifies Second. Dawn disqualifies these libations as it disqualifies the limbs of the burnt offering. So dawn, right? So interesting, there isn't just the idea of nightfall begins a new day. There's also a concept of dawn, right? As we just said, that you could have, nighttime till dawn until dawn. Well, why don't we say till the next night if it's right? No, there is a concept of the night following the day, right? There's both ideas, right? There's both ideas. So therefore, it's only till dawn, not the entire full day, because dawn begins the new day. A day is dawned, right? As the saying goes. It's interesting. Just like we see, Jewish people, we have many beginnings. The beginning of the year is the first of Tishrei, Rosh Hashanah. The beginning of the months is the first of Nisan, right? So will the real beginning start already? So, there's different perspectives of what beginning is, and there's a different perspective on what it means, uh, day and night and the what follows what, right? Therefore, okay. Okay, unfortunately, I have to go. Yeah, so it is. All right, folks. Thank you.
Thank you,
God
Rabbi.
bless.
Baruch
And
Hashem.
may all be blessed.